Uh, hey. Oh, we're on. Hello and welcome to the intersection with me and Rachel Harris. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm still here, battling
We,
every day.
we can hear
You
you
know,
loud and clear. That's a good sign. That's a
excellent.
very good
I'm,
sign.
I'm glad. I was thinking about replacing my mic. Maybe I won't have to do that.
No, I think you'll be all right. We've got Sarah White in the chat and we've got True 3 as well, saying get celebrities to endorse things you want. We try. We try. We try. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about Labour and their relationship with the LGBT plus community, mostly focusing on the T. And yeah, do you want to kick off, Rachel, with our first item on the agenda?
Yeah. So, obviously, my background, we worked really hard to get Labour elected, right? Stop the Tories, stop the
Yes.
vote. We wanted to get them in.
I door knocked. I went round
I
door knocking.
know, in Richmond.
Yeah, and my own
And
constituency
your
here
own,
in Durham.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was getting, and I've got a lot of where I live, a lot of Labour activists in my area, and we all talked a lot. We shared a lot of stuff
Yeah.
on WhatsApp. And then they get in, and it's like, well, we knew with, I know they've only been in 3 days in power, but 60 days in altogether, because of Parliament back. But it's the noises, right? So, um, great TikToker, which I shall dig the name out. We'll put it in the notes. Came up and highlighted, the things we want to talk about initially about conversion therapy. So, a lot of countries have banned conversion therapy. This is kind of torturing gay and trans people to say you're not gay and you're not trans, and kind of it's cruel. It has mental health issues into adulthood. Lots of people I know have been subject to this, and it's unbelievably cruel. And I say that even though people have managed to transition, if you're trans, for instance, later in life, the health consequences are long rooted.
Yeah.
So 15 countries have just banned LGBT conversion therapy. Bang,
Yeah.
just banned it. It's just you can't do it, right? Don't do
Yeah.
it. It's not.
I have a question. How do you convert someone who's bisexual?
Don't know the.
Because what
Well,
you do,
if
like,
it's
you can't help it if you find men and women kind of
well, anybody
attractive.
on a spectrum attractive, right?
Yeah. So
And
how do
that's
you
fine.
convert them? Because they're always gonna. It's not like
Yeah, they're
no,
gonna.
we're gonna make you fancy women. It says well, it's all right. I already fancy women.
Well, I assume that they'll look at your
What?
birth, your assigned birth at sex at birth, and assume you will be the opposite attraction to that, and make you have that attraction. That's what you assume. But
Yeah, but if you're bisexual, you have both.
well, it's not
So
just
they
both.
can't.
You have a full spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Polyamorous.
yeah,
What's it called? Pansexual.
yeah.
Pansexual.
Pansexual.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I think most
yeah.
people are pansexual. They
I
just,
think everybody is to a certain extent. I mean,
it
I
just
think we
depends how many
get we
drinks you've
get
had.
that sex is fluid. Sexual attraction is fluid, right? And
Yeah.
we know that probably gender is quite fluid actually. But we're moving. You step into
Yeah.
that arena, you get a lot of people coming at
Well,
you. But
as lot, you can't help what turns you on, and as long as it's not
yeah,
hurting anyone, as long as it's not against the law,
no, but
fine.
conversion therapy hurts a lot of people, and I
Yes,
think that
it's cruel.
15 countries banned it, no conditions, really simple,
Mm.
not a problem.
Yeah.
But in the UK, where the will isn't really there, it's all a bit hard. I mean, we knew that the Tories were going to ban it in 2016. Theresa May came in and they were banging over that they were going to do it. They were going to do it. Then Boris came along. I'm going to do it. Then it was, no, I'm not going to do it for anybody. Then there was a kickback from the LGBT community. And then he said, oh, well, I'll ban it for LGBT people, but not trans people because we really hate trans people. And then it sort of went, eventually it went to, no, we're going to do it for LGBT people again. And then it went, yes. Then it went, no. Then it went, yes. Then it went, no. And then it was no. And then they lost the election and
Jesus
they were gone.
Christ.
So then we get the Labour come in, we're going to ban it. Hey. And now it's all smelling a bit, they got their conference coming up and
Yes.
they're allowing a fringe, it's not in the main conference, but there's a fringe group meeting of what they call I suppose it's the Labour's Women's Declaration group at the Labour conference, and they've got a
Okay. What's that?
stall and a fringe event, and their speakers are Reem Aslam, who's the UN Special Rapporteur, Violence Against Women and Girls. Now, I'm not going to go into all the things they've done, but if you look them up, you'll see they're not particularly happy clappy trans. Sonia
Okay.
Sodder, who writes horrible stuff about trans people, used to be in The Guardian, I think, where it's elsewhere now, but really writes terrible stuff. I mean, she's always on mainstream television on quiz shows and stuff. She always looks, but she writes some pretty horrible stuff about trans people. And she's just written a nasty article about the BMA who wants to review the cash, which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
And then there's a Dr. Anne Hutchinson, who was the whistleblower at the Tavistock, who trans people did, that was the children's clinic, that actually trans people didn't really like either. Um, I would ask you to just go and look at the work about what Dr. Anne Hutchinson has written, and make your own judgment. But these speakers are worrying to have this fringe group there and having a stall at the Labour conference. Labour should have been a firewall on the crap that happened after the last.
Yeah.
Because we know
Yeah.
trans rights, it's a right wing thing. It's financed by right wing groups in many
So
cases.
with the Fringe event, is it in the actual Labour
It's
Party
You'll have to Google it.
conference?
Yeah, we pulled it up this afternoon. It's listed as a
It's
fringe.
listed.
Yeah.
Right, you see, that's the thing. Last year, I did an event in the conference,
Yeah.
and I also did one outside.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the one inside the conference got moved at the last minute, and the time they decided to put it on was Keir Starmer's speech.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, we can't really do it then. So we ended
Yeah.
up doing it at the end of the day when everyone had gone.
All right.
So, but the one that we had the night before was incredibly successful.
Yeah.
And
I saw
we,
that.
it wasn't listed in the official
Yeah.
booklet because we weren't. You've got to be in quite early. But I'm kind of surprised that Labour are
It's
going there.
a
You
bit
know,
like
when they know it's problematic, they know people get very
yeah.
upset, quite rightly,
Where's the
about
firewall? This is like
yeah,
having the LGBT Alliance at the Tory conference, right? On
yeah,
stall section 28, you know. Um, that was not great. I mean,
yeah,
literally, the LGBT Alliance was on section 28, and at having a stall, and that's bad enough having GB News there and all that great stuff. Ugh.
yeah,
But having this, I really hoped that Labour would be, no, we're not doing any of this stuff. We're going to bolster the Equality Act. We're going to add in menopause and social mobility. We're
yeah,
gonna we're gonna really we're going to stop this right wing stuff that's coming from America, and we can have the discussions about the safety of women. We can reassure that trans people aren't the enemy. But obviously social media, and we're going to come onto Twitter and this horrible money and this
yeah,
renewal 2030 project 2025 and all this other stuff that's beginning to happen, which is actually a big threat to women. I thought Labour would be a bit more clued up and say, no more. This is it. Firewall, chunk. Let's stop
yeah,
this. And let's start again. But no. They seem to have, obviously we'll come on to Wes in a moment, but just the acceptance of Cass without even questioning a lot of the questions that are now being asked, which we'll come on
yeah,
to. So the conversion therapy, having this at the conference, this fringe
yeah.
group, it's pretty disappointing. The World Women's Declaration on Sex-Based Rights is a really scary organization. Go and have a look at their website. It's frightening for trans people
Yeah.
worldwide. There's so many of these groups now popping up, and a lot of them are the same people, but it is quite scary. So
I've got a question. Okay, so I just want to say hello to Sarah White in the chat, Sarah Davis,
hi,
True
Sarah.
3, we've got Blue Badger with 88, we've got Dark 4x4, Victoria's in there, Simon, Shropshire Chris, One Angry Pagan, all right, mate, and your badgers.
I can't see the chat, but hello, everybody.
Yeah, Benjamin Mad Monk, 33, and a power to the people. Really glad that you're all in tonight.
Yeah.
Dark 4x4 was asking about how you convert someone who's asexual. And that's a good question. Like how, because I want to go into this a little bit. Like, I don't understand how conversion therapy works. I mean, obviously it doesn't work. There's no way it could possibly work.
No.
But what do they think they're doing? Is it like, because I imagine it like something from a Clockwork Orange, where they force your eyes open and force you to watch heterosexual porn. But then how does that work? Because you're still seeing a naked man.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah,
Would
I've
you show
never
them
been.
gay porn? Sorry, lesbian porn? Will that make them not gay? I mean, that just how does it work? Do you know?
I've never been subject to it. I had very accepting families.
I know, but have you ever come across Have you ever met
Well, I mean, it
someone
can be
who
subtle. It can be subtle. I have friends that, came out in their church and suddenly they're having tea with the vicar's wife who's saying this is your cross to bear and this is something you're going to have to, that
Mm.
suddenly, we're not going to encourage you or support you. We're going to tell you that this is your sin and you're going to have to. So it can be,
Okay,
you,
so it's
it,
more like a religious
it
kind
can
of
be religion can be one aspect of
pressure
it.
and
Yeah.
also societal pressure. Like we will cast you out of our group if you
Yeah. Well,
don't
yeah, that's one
fancy the
aspect.
right type of people.
Yeah, being kicked out of an inclusive sort of a group of love and kicking you out would be for me a type of conversion therapy because you're excluding them
Yeah.
and and pressuring them to stay in that group by not allowing them to be who they are. But I think I think the problem that I think with conversion therapy is obviously you're sending your way to a camp for 6 weeks and showing you videos of normal relate family units
Well,
and
Shropshire Chris in the chat just said, I presume it's based on guilt. Just
yeah,
making
the part I
people
think that's
feel
part of it.
awful about
Yeah,
themselves. Like I shouldn't be
yeah.
feeling this way.
But they have
Um,
camps in America where they send people to mainly religious camps to beat the gay out of them and get them, that's
Jesus.
so
Pray
it's
the gay
constant.
away. I've heard that.
Yeah, I mean it's constant. I always have this
Yeah.
Michael Caine with the nail in the spinning chair and the lights right, and
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no.
but
Is Harry
yeah,
Palmer.
yeah, it does feel like that, but it can be subtle. I mean, the problem, some of the when you get down to the arguments of the people oppose, trying to say that conversion therapy bans, they'll say, "Oh, but what about therapies? Oh, we know we can't have the therapies." And you see some of the groups, but the fact is, you can have therapy for being trans to explore your gender identity. You may not be trans, you may not be gay, and it's
Mm,
okay to explore that with a counselor. That is not conversion therapy. But if it's really, I don't think you are, Rach. Let's talk about why you're not. I think
yeah.
your family are gonna, and that
Yeah.
pressure
Yeah.
becomes conversion therapy.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, yeah, I completely agree. Benjamin is talking about the asexual community, um, saying that for asexuals, it's mostly forcing people to watch porn to force them
mm,
into relationships. Also, this sounds really fucking horrible. Corrective SA, which just sounds horrific. I mean, just in
yeah,
any way. But if you are asexual and someone
yeah,
does that to you, I can't imagine just how
yeah,
horrific it would be. Victoria saying in the chat, I've heard of it's heartbreaking to hear stories from survivors of conversion
it is.
therapy from the UK and the US.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Shropshire Chris is asking if Wes Streeting is a god botherer. I think he is, isn't he? Wasn't he? Isn't he a
I don't
church
know.
person?
I don't know. I try not to, try not to look much what it says anymore. I have had so many. You read so much bad news and so many attacks and so much
Mm,
crap comes at us that
yeah.
when I know somebody has fallen off the cliff, I just kind of cut them out and I move on to. I try to find either positive stories or new
Yeah.
activity or
Yeah.
new negative stories
Yeah.
to read.
Yeah.
Where's this parked? So
Well, we've talked about this before, but in one of the more positive things about Brexit was the fact
yeah,
that it got a lot of people who are pro EU to
yeah,
stand up to the mark. And I think the same has
yes,
happened in the last few years with the rise of the trans panic and the
mm,
transphobia everywhere.
yep,
You're seeing a lot more allies actually prepared to step up
yeah,
and speak out, like David
yes,
Tennant did
yeah.
a couple of
Coming on
months
to
ago.
him.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, right, the reason I can still get out of bed in the mornings, and I hear lots of other trans speakers and activists and LGBT activists, is the fact is the reason that this is happening is because there are more of us now. We're more
Yeah.
visible. There are more of us coming forward. 28% of Generation Z are LGBTQI, right? That's a big
It's
chunk.
fantastic.
They're coming. There's bloody millions of YouTube
Yeah.
channels from Gen Zs and
Yeah.
articles and
Yeah.
Substacks and oh my God. Um,
And for people who are comfortable in their body, people
yeah,
who are comfortable in their own sexuality,
yeah,
they just seem like really lovely people. And the
they
people who
are.
are obviously uncomfortable
Yeah,
in their sexuality are the
yeah.
ones who are screaming at everyone to conform to
Um,
this normality that only they can say what normal is. And it's
yeah.
very frustrating.
And I am always remain optimistic that if 28% of Generation Z and a big chunk of millennials are allies, I would say, generally your mum and dad, your brother, your sister, your friends, your work colleagues are all going to be allies generally, not always, but generally.
Mm.
big chunk of voters, big chunk of influence, big chunk. Your gender critical movement is small but loud and well financed, and
Yeah.
a lot of the side, and they are loud and they have influence in Tufton Street, and the government and the Heritage Foundation sponsors two of the Conservative leaders, and blah blah blah. But you've got this big voting block, and at some point, a politician who follows Twitter trends eventually will start to see more LGBTQI representation and vocal. The kids, and we're going to come on to the kids in a minute, but they are vocal and they're really good activists. I think at some point, Keir Starmer's going to go, wibbly wobbly, and never fall. He's going to go, I think trans people there's votes in this, not votes in that, and
Yeah.
it will tip back. But we're not there yet because they
Yeah.
don't because they're not talking to trans people at the moment, Labour. So
Well, that's part of the problem. I mean,
yeah,
there's no trans MPs at the moment. There used to be one, a Tory MP, but he got booted out with
yep.
every Tory MP in Wales.
The
Hey, silver linings.
what was it? TC Davis. Blah.
Yeah.
Um,
But one angry pagan saying it comes from absolutist thinking and faux scientific conclusions. Lack of recognition of nuance is so
yeah,
utterly destructive, and that
yeah.
brings to mind Richard Dawkins, who is
Oh,
obviously a famous evolutionary biologist. He
yeah,
wrote The Selfish Gene, which is a fantastic book. He wrote The God Delusion, which is a fantastic book. He wrote
yeah,
The Greatest Show on Earth about evolution, which is a
yeah.
fantastic book. However, in the last few years, he's turned into some massive transphobe, and it's
Indeed.
weird because it is clouded his judgment about stuff.
Yeah,
And I'd like to pick out something that he wrote on Twitter not long ago, where he said that the number of people who were XXY or YXX or whatever, the different combinations that some people are. He said that there's so few people who have these, between sexes, that they're statistically insignificant.
1%. It's
And
1%.
I'm like, how can you say
Yeah,
that something exists?
yeah,
Is statistically insignificant. It's like saying
yeah.
the Tory MPs are statistically insignificant because there's only 120 of them
Yeah.
out of 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
But at the same
intersect.
time, he once famously quoted another evolutionary biologist. It might be Roger Penrose or someone.
Yeah.
I've forgotten who it was. And he was asked what it would take for him to question evolution,
Yeah.
to perhaps believe in a creator.
Yeah.
And he said a rabbit fossil in the Precambrian rock strata, because that would mess up everything we know about evolution.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that going, so that little bit of data will be enough
Yeah.
to blow your whole worldview out the water. But the fact that people exist who do not feel they are the sex assigned at birth,
Yeah.
well, oh no, we can ignore them. They're not. They're not statistically significant.
Well,
I'm like,
the fact,
he's gone too lally. I mean,
it is. I mean, we know that I think it's 1% are intersex. We know that 1% of Generation Z are trans and non-binary.
I think you'll find quite a lot of people are intersex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
Yeah, that's true. Both definitions of the word.
All week.
But so as many people have got ginger hair, I think, but it is like, but I think it's not an insignificant number of people. And I saw Dawkins because he was really having a go at Imam Khalif about
Yes.
really went nuts. Then
Yeah.
said his Facebook had been taken down because he'd been silenced, and that was because he'd been hacked and Facebook closed it, and he had to get a password.
Help! I've been silenced.
I've been
Quick, buy
silenced
my
by
best-selling
Facebook,
book.
who was protecting him. But he left the tweets saying that that Imam Khalif was a guy and all the other stuff. He left all that stuff up. And it's like, wow. And you remember that it wasn't he chairman of that Carl Sagan, the evidence-based organization, Science
Yeah.
Without Evidence.
Yeah.
He was it.
Yeah.
Well, the evidence is that she's
He
the woman,
was
mate.
a professor of public understanding of science.
Yeah.
And he is shat all over his own legacy. And
Yeah.
I, for one, I mean, I've had a few problems with Dawkins in
Yep.
the past for other things that he's got up to, and
Yeah.
I know people who know him and say he's a bit of a problematic individual.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there was a period where, with the rise of the internet, and there was this big fight back against the church deciding what we were allowed to do with our bodies and deciding who we were allowed to fall in love with and marry. that I felt like we really need that pushback, and I think that's done now. Fine. I'm not too arsed about where we are now between church and state. Obviously, I don't really want Lord Spiritual in the House of Lords. There's a few other little things. I don't particularly like the idea of religious schools. I think all schools should be secular.
Yeah.
But it's not too bad.
I just want law, state. I want the legal system, the government regulatory system, and religion all apart.
Yeah.
I don't want them ever merged.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble.
Victoria's saying the Mormon Church, I guess, issued some horrible transphobic rules into their congregation. A lot of the members have condemned these. They are saying that trans people cannot work with anyone under 18. Fucking hell.
I know. It's all about trans people, paedophile thing, groomers, and all that rubbish that the right wing come out with. I read that. That is just... it was good that some of the church members pushed back on it, but it's,
Yeah, indeed. Dark 4x4 is asking about pansexuals. Every time, I say they're bisexuals, that includes trans people. But if you're bisexual, what is it about trans people that puts you off? I don't know. I guess there are people out there who regard themselves as bisexual who wouldn't want to get with someone who was trans. At
the moment, what I see is most people accept LGB because the attack from certain organizations is to break T away from LGB. And that's to get LGB people to attack trans people as well. There are some famous gay men who are celebrities who do not give a flying fuck about trans people. And they never speak about them ever. And they should be speaking out right now. But the idea is to break the T, as I always say, every time I do the intersection, get the T away, LGB will topple, then you're into same-sex marriage and out, and then you're on to women's rights. Just
like breaking the UK off from the EU, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's a divide and conquer. I work with a lot of... We're working with disability groups, working with racial groups. We're working right across the spectrum because all of us are under attack in our different way. Neurodiverse groups, etc., because they're trying to divide and conquer, make us weaker. And the idea is that we've got to pull together as allyships, and that's why Labour needs to realize that actually, the other thing is they haven't done yet. Labour is obviously the top of the Equality and Human Rights Commission. We still have Baroness Faulkner who's not doing trans, and I think one of their ambassadors is speaking at the LGBT Alliance conference coming up, which they should not be, but they are. And that is, so the Labour need to sort out the Equality and Human Rights Commission and make it independent, but they haven't done anything. I know that we're going to talk about Harriet Harman. They haven't done that yet. This is the first 100 days. They should be just doing this stuff.
They should be doing it. It should just be done. Like, just get it through everything they can do without having to go through the whole rigmarole of getting a new bill through Parliament. Alvone says we all have one life, You have to live it as your true self. We don't come back. Absolutely, couldn't agree with that.
Absolutely. And what really pisses me off is, I'm in my, as a time traveler, I travel all over through hordes of time, and this time sucks. and I'm coming up to retirement as a time traveler, right? And I really should be enjoying it. I've got a few more good years in me work wise, and I just do trans training and I do lots of consultancy stuff, and I really enjoy that. But what I do not have to do is that all the crap I get in my email account, that I'm not on social media anymore, so I don't get that anymore. But I should be enjoying it, not worrying that they're going to come along in a van one night and take me away. And that's what I'm really worried about. And I think trans people are all worried about what is happening on the shift to the right in Europe and what's happening in America and this conservatives and the refuck. We're worried about that. I shouldn't be having to worry about. I wasn't thinking about my retirement, not having to fight, but we're all having to fight, and that is annoying.
That poem could have been first. They came for the trans people because they did,
and they are. The kids are buggered. Talking of which, let's get on to the kids.
Well, can I just have a couple more comments before we talk about that? Clupid Bloropope. I didn't and will never vote for Labour again. It's an extra punch to the gut that people who said they hold Labour to account are either doubling down or defending everything they do. I don't see that as much. I guess because the people I've been hanging out with aren't necessarily 100% sold on Labour, and they are prepared to say this is where they've gone wrong. Even Phil, who is a big Labour supporter, he feels like they haven't gone far enough on a lot of issues, but he kind of understands the real politic of it.
But it's cowardly. Following. in the olden days, back in the 70s when I was a teenager, right? We were a party came in and went, here's our policy. Hope you like it. And people
Yeah.
would like it or they didn't, and they voted on it. Well, it's a policy. Oh, but we don't like it. Well, this is the policy we're getting elected under. Now
Yeah.
it's what does Twitter say today, and which way is the wind blowing? And it's just politics of personality, and that's what really annoys me. That they just this is the first 100 days, set your policy, do this, ban the conversion therapy, you should have just redone CAS, you should have
Yeah.
toughened up hate crimes against trans people, done all the stuff, got it out of the way. Everyone will be moaning about it in the Daily Mail and the Times for a couple of weeks, and then it would have passed. But we're not doing that. No. We're
No,
like,
no.
ooh, we're going to have our conference, and we might not do the thing we're going to do on conversion therapy. And I don't know, when trans women can't be on hospital wards and maybe they can't have access to toilets. We haven't really thought about it. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because in 10 years' time, when Gen Z are really fully into society and we've got Gen Alpha coming up, you're going to look really, really bloody terrible. And you know what? The more left parties and the Green parties will probably be
That's
more
the
popular.
thing,
And
Rachel.
that's fine.
It's an open goal for Labour. Like,
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah.
The people who complain about it, the same people who were complaining about gay people, they gave up.
Yeah.
They gave up because they knew they'd lost the war.
Yeah.
They went, okay, well, what can we go after next? Do you know what
Yeah.
it's like in America when they had prohibition, as you know, because you time travelled there?
Times.
After prohibition was ended, what did they go after? Marijuana and drugs. Because they were like, okay, we've lost that
Yeah.
battle.
And how's that working
booze
out?
was re-legalized because obviously that was a stupid idea. And
Yeah.
and it's the same with the this kind of like the anti-gay agenda, the anti-LGBT plus agenda. And they're like, okay, we've lost gay marriage, we've lost being able to discriminate against gay couples and not make them a cake, for God's sake. But and they've gone, okay, what can we turn to then? Well, there's a minority of
Yeah.
this group, the trans people. Let's go after the trans.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many times do we have to go through the same?
But it's the
bullshit?
othering. It's the othering. I think they made the mistake of thinking there weren't many trans people. Because I mean, I swear to God, in 2015, they thought there were 12,000 trans people in the UK. That was the statistic that was bounded about.
Oh wow, really? Really?
And we know it's like, because they were just counting, presenting to surgery at clinics and stuff and all that stuff. But that was what you were hearing. And I think they don't realize that the number of trans and non-binary people that exist in the UK is massive. And they got mums and dads and brothers and sisters and work colleagues and families and partners. It's massive.
Yeah.
And if I just think it's really short-sighted of a political party. And Labour, I've always been on the left. I'm not hard left. I've always been sort of Labour-y.
Yeah.
Next time in 5 years' time, when we do Stop the Tories, Stop the Vote, I will work with them. But even if the strategic vote for me is Labour, I won't do it. I can't do it unless they radically change. I'm going to vote Green. And they're not great either. They're good on lots of things, but they're really good on trans, right? So they've had their problems, but they've tried to deal with it.
I was going to say, yeah, that they've actually tried to deal with it in a way that I don't feel Labour, especially with someone like, is it Rosie Duffield?
Rosie Duffield was one, yeah, Rosie, the Canterbury MP, yeah, who ways have apologised to.
Incredibly problematic.
Yeah,
she has a huge beef with trans people.
Yeah.
And they deny it. I mean, it's this knee-jerk reaction. So it's like, when someone's going to say something racist, they go, I'm not a racist, but...
Yeah.
I'm not a transphobe, but... And then they'll say something horrifically transphobic.
Yeah, I mean, instead of trying to find a way to work with trans people, about reassurance and ways forward, this is just... I mean, get me wrong, social media is... I 100% blame a lot of social media. As I keep saying to you, I'm only on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube, obviously. Yeah. And my content on YouTube is unicorns and fluffy angels and politics social, right? That's it. That's what comes up. It's all I see is fluff. I never see
channel needs more unicorns, I think.
Yeah. So I never see harmful content. I never see right-wing content. I don't know it exists. And, so they must be seeing some pretty serious shit on the other side. So that's what it's doing all over the world, right? And I think that's not helping. Where there were discussions with people that were worried about trans people, I mean, they didn't need to be, but we needed to reassure them somebody's social media's poured petrol on all those arguments and sent everybody into their corners and made them very angry. And we're never going to get to that time unless we get rid of some of the social media.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Brazil in a minute.
Well, yeah, that would be nice, but realistically, I think that what we can do is just keep on Labour, and this isn't
Yeah,
about
yeah,
telling people necessarily to,
yeah,
go become a conservative, vote for refuck or something, but to tell people who are, to write to their MPs if they are concerned about if
yeah.
they're trans, their own safety, if they're a trans ally, their
Well,
friends'
the only
safety, their family safety, in this
yeah,
absolute torrent of abuse and hatred
yeah.
that is being spouted from the highest towers by, like you say, social media.
Mm.
And in a way, maybe this could be our Trojan horse. Why do we want to get a Twitter ban in this country? Well, because they allowed a deeply transphobic hashtag to be on
Yeah,
their platform all week, and
yeah,
that's a hate crime. We
yeah,
can't be having platforms that allow
yeah,
encourage hate
yeah,
crimes. Or
yeah. I mean, Elon Musk. Well, let's do this. We'll just do this. I mean, obviously removed all the protections for trans. This was the next news item, one of the news items anyway, wasn't it? But
yeah,
removed all the trans protections for trans people, so you can be dead named, misgendered, or bullied, and they don't. I mean, they wouldn't have done anything anyway. But when they had the rules
but
in
if you
place,
write the word cisgender, it comes up. It gets flagged up.
Woo!
It gets flagged up as potential hate speech. All you have to do
Yeah.
is tweet the word cisgender. Try it. Actually,
Ooh.
don't go
I
on
don't. I'm
Twitter.
not on
It's a
Twitter. I'm not on
terrible place.
Twitter.
Yeah, full of
But
twatters.
yeah. So the hashtag was it trans women are con men hashtag, wasn't it? That's the article I was reading, and that was, and it didn't help that certain people on X were completely adding to that.
Revolting.
Elon Musk obviously got a beef with. I think one of his partners left him for a trans woman, and then his daughter's trans, and I don't think he's just sent him down the rabbit hole. But I mean, the hashtag was horrible. He said he left he's moved SpaceX from California to Texas because of the trans inclusive laws in California. But we know it's actually because it's more tax efficient to be in Texas, right? But
Yeah.
let's just give it an excuse and move it over there and say it's about trans people, which I
Imagine
don't
being
believe.
that rich and that bitter.
Well, I think he's, purposely, as I keep posting in the Politics Social, there's 1,000 sites saying that Tesla and all it's all going to come crashing down in a couple of years.
Well,
Um,
it certainly looks that way. I
mm,
mean, the fact that he's leveraged so much Tesla stock
yeah,
against Twitter and what he's
yeah,
done to Twitter,
yeah,
it's not looking great. And also, the type of people who buy electric cars,
yeah.
Cybertruck notwithstanding, but
Oh
the
no,
normal
yeah,
electric cars tend to be liberals, tend to be left wing, tend to be people who care about the environment. They're not your big monster truck driving,
hotspot.
yokels from the back sticks that are
Yeah,
attracted to this
yeah.
transphobic, homophobic, racist, misogynistic
Yeah,
shit that
yeah.
he's pumping
Is
out
it?
all over Twitter.
Well, I think people in the socialites should look at. Is it Thunderfoot? Really good
Yeah, from
video.
the foot. Yeah, we
Thunderfoot,
like
brilliant
it.
videos on Musk. Gives me hope.
Yeah.
So that's Musk done, really. Yeah, Twitter's a cesspool. We're all trying to leave it. Let's go back to the kids. Just the
Yeah.
two. There were two protests. One I talked about before, which was the young kids who were outside they're out the outside the NHS headquarters, and in London,
Mm.
Department of Health. They were up on the balconies, up on ropes with banners and things, and that was the first thing, calling for access to their care, which has
Yeah.
obviously been effectively taken away. There was another protest this month where they were at the education outside the Department of Education. And again, it was a right to inclusive education because the school's guidance, the gender questioning children guidance which came out from the previous administration, which is a bit section 2080.
Mm.
They basically were protesting their rights at school. I want to be recognized. I want you to use my pronouns. I want you to talk about trans relationships, LGBT relationships. That's what they're pushing for, and that's
Yeah.
what apparently the Department of Education sort of. I read it on Reddit. Right, this is where the kids are chatting about this stuff,
Yeah.
and they were saying, well, it was platitude-y and weak from the Department of Education. They didn't feel. I gives me hope is that the kid. This is an organization quite of young kids. There's more of them on forming. There are loads
Yeah.
of young kids getting very protesty, organizing. So, that film, the kids are going to be all right. I think the kids are going to be all right because they're getting
Yes.
ready for it. They're
No,
battling up.
I completely agree. And one of the things that does give me hope, because I get quite depressed how a lot of people in the older generation are so easily taken in by
Yeah.
just utter bullshit. But you're right, the younger generation, generally speaking, the little incels who follow Andrew Taint around, like notwithstanding, but like the majority of people, young
Yeah.
people I've met through my stepdaughters, their schoolmates, they're all really lovely. They
Yeah.
all talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
They don't care if
Yeah.
you wear a hijab or if you identify as trans
Yeah.
or if you are gay, or it's not a
No.
big issue like it was
No.
in our generation,
Oh God, yeah.
where it could be, devastating to a entire family or even a community if
Yeah.
someone dared to come out of the closet. And
Yeah.
oh my God, I
Yeah.
made a cup of tea for this person.
Yeah. So I
So
chose to stop in the 70s to go have my school. And it
yeah,
was all, you're gay, I mean, they called you a bender
well, that
and
was the
all this
go-to
horrible
insult in the
language.
90s as well. Everything
Yeah.
was gay.
Yeah.
Everything that was a bit rubbish was gay. Oh God,
Yeah.
that's so gay.
Yeah. And the fact was in the 70s, I mean, there was one black person at our school, and I always remember them. They received a lot of abuse from a lot of the kids. And it was like, teachers didn't know anything about it back then. But it was, that whole, I mean, what society's changed, thank God.
Thank God.
But I hope. I mean, obviously the incel movement but I think, when I was a kid, when I was 16, I wasn't politically aware. Oh, I told you this, right? Yeah, I hadn't got a clue. And yet they are. I talked to two young trans kids a couple of weeks ago, um, and they knew all of the anti-trans activists. They knew the connections. They knew the LGBT Alliance. They knew what Kimmy Bednott was doing. And they were 16 years old.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Thank God, I would not have had a clue at that age." So
Yeah.
I do think that they are going to fight I mean, they've got lots of support, but I think they're going to fight their own corner. And you can donate. There's the organization that a lot of these children are. It's called Trans Kids Deserve Better. They've got a fund me site,
Oh,
really
fab.
good. Also, I just want to mention on conversion therapy. Do you see what Scotland have done? So
No.
is it John Sweeney, the new guy that runs
Sweeney.
the SNP, Independent Scotland, who were very progressive on trans rights? They were going to go for self-ID till the Tories buggered it up.
Yeah.
They were also going to have their own conversion therapy ban. They were just going to do it. It was all lovely jubbly. And John Sweeney stood up and went, "Yeah, we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to follow the Four Nations. So whatever Westminster says, they're going to follow it." That's not very independent Scotland, is it?
No.
So
I
I
think
did like
the
the
SNP are feeling a little bit.
Oh, it was
dazed by
great today.
events.
Cute question time, though. It was, wasn't that great?
So for people who didn't see it, basically, the someone from the SNP stood up and said, "Do you think that this is why you've become so unpopular since you become a prime minister?" to Keir Starmer, and Keir Starmer just went, "You've got 9 MPs left. Shut up." And that was it. That was it. And it was harsh, and it was like, but okay,
Genuinely funny.
Yeah. Should be talking about popularity when you've only got 9
Yeah,
MPs.
you used to be sitting down here, but now you're all up there.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
And I genuinely feel sorry for the SNP. I think that the
me
Scottish
too.
people have got a quite justified beef with England and the English part, British
too.
Parliament, but it's in England, isn't it?
Yeah. I was sad
Dragging them
about
out of the EU against their will, and generally looking at Scotland as a place to just take energy from, and not really give much in return. So, I completely get that, but the way that they have.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're fucked up, haven't they?
Yeah, they have big time. I wish Scotland was independent. I think that because then there would be some of trans people to go to.
Yes.
And Wales, because
and also Scotland's bloody beautiful.
Yeah,
as well.
it's lovely. It's beautiful. And
do you know what I really liked about Scotland? I know this is going to sound really probably quite shallow, but I went up there last month when the Fringe was on. And it was really nice to walk around because if I go out, I'm in Durham, I'm in Newcastle, I'm in Liverpool or Manchester, and all of the young women are always like caked up with makeup, with the eyelashes that go on for like 10 yards and the lip fillers, and everyone looks the same. And then up in Scotland, it's just like everyone just look normal. They don't necessarily wear makeup. They're just walking around being normal looking people.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
So
I think it's. I think Scotland's beautiful, and I only ever go to Glasgow, which always to me always feels like I'm in a scene from Blade Runner because it was raining. But
Does
but
rain a lot in
I
Glasgow.
every time I've been in Glasgow, it tips with rain. But I do like Scotland, and I hope it will become independent and more inclusive again. They've got challenges now.
Yeah, they do.
So just a quick update on Cass.
Before you come to that,
Yeah,
Dark 4x4 saying in the chat, maybe I should apply for a job with Labour where I can engage with the public on YouTube once a week. I did apply for a job with Labour, and they said, thanks but no thanks, we're going to get an agency to do it instead.
yeah. You and Uncle Phil would have been great at doing their socials.
I know. Well, we tried. I mean, we
did.
really pushed and tried to say, look, we could be your mouthpiece. But do you know what? Now that I changed the name to Politics Social, I can be more critical of Labour, and I can say fuck more because I don't feel like I'm representing Labour in any way, shape, or form. Which is good. And also Benjamin saying that there's a YouTuber called Jammy Dodger who's a trans man that makes a lot of positive content about it and shares some of his experience that you should check out. If we could get him on the show, that would be fantastic.
I wrote. Can I just say I did write to them, to Jamie, and to ask, but I didn't get a response. But I will try again. Because I love that content. Really inclusive, always really positive. What he does, he takes a lot of content and mocks, the memes that the gender crits come up with, and talks about J.K. Rowling quite a lot, and just has a lovely, positive, not sort of grumpy and old like me, but young and vibrant.
You're not grumpy. You're not old either. Well, you don't look
time travelers don't age when they're in. When we're traveling, we don't age. But he really great content. Just really great. A lot of energy, and because I've often thought about doing a channel. It's part of the Politics Social. I don't have a channel. I only come onto your channel because I just don't. I have been battered for the last 30 years. I don't think I can take any, the contact. Hey, it's a bloke. It's all that stuff I used to get. I just think, if I did a content, but they do, and it's amazing.
Yeah, but the way that you set things up is that you make sure that if you do get any trolls or anything like that, you make sure you've got mods who can crack down on them or do stuff like what we do on this channel whenever we're talking about, say, trans issues, to stop any trolls coming along. We make it so only really regular people who watch the show can actually comment.
And it's a good safe order. I mean, I wouldn't come on if I didn't think the audience was safe here to learn and educate, and they're lovely.
I love the audience. Everyone watching this, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I wouldn't be able to do this otherwise. Just get on to.
We've got loads to get through, haven't we? We're not 15 minutes.
You're just blah blah blah.
I know. I am. Oh, come on. Cass. Let's talk about Cass.
So Cass is just obviously the Labour have accepted it 100%.
Despite
which is. So the Wes has, extended the puberty blocker ban privately now to November, and Northern Ireland is now that's extended to Northern Ireland recently as well, which is a bit upsetting in Wales, as you know, and everybody's just accepted that. But couple of good things. The Yale Law School has said Yale Law School. Yale Law, right? This is a big. I'm a lawyer. I trained as a lawyer, right? So Yale Law, mega. It's like Harvard Law. And they've said it contains serious flaws. I mean, that's significant. The other thing, as I mentioned it very quickly in the last intersection, was the British Medical Association had said they're going to do their own evaluation of Cass. Yes. I mean, the kickback. And Sonia Sodder wrote an article then attacking them. But they have decided, 190,000 doctors have decided that they need to do their own peer review of it. And they may do their own survey and analysis, which is amazingly brilliant. The British Medical Journal, that used to be pro-trans, have been a bit critical of that, which is a bit of a shame. However, what I thought was funny, and I just wanted to say, because I know I said it in the last intersection, but when the BM, they opened they're going to open the 6 young youth gender identity clinics, and some of the sort of negative trans organizations went good because that's what Cass says you should do, and we already know it sounds like the mechanics of some of these doesn't sound very positive.
Yeah.
However, because I've said to you, it sounds like being trans is the bad outcome at these. That's how it feels. But I don't know. I think it was. I've got my notes on this. I wanted to mention about these. Oh yeah, so opening the clinics, and a lot of the anti-trans organizations were, yay, that's what Cass said. However, they have said that the NHS are going to do a puberty blocker trial, and the
Yeah.
gender crits went nuts. But sorry, that's in your precious cash report.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
suggested there wasn't enough evidence and you need to do a trial. So the NHS are going to do a trial. They went nuts. So what, what? So you can't, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. It just made me laugh. I thought, oh, well, sorry, that's in cash. This is your Bible now, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. So there's some criticism from the BMA. Other things that came up in the news. Poor old Valentina Petrillo,
The trans woman,
yeah,
legally recognized trans woman,
yeah,
who's representing Italy in the
yeah,
Paralympics.
exactly, who didn't qualify,
Yeah.
Of course, they'll be saying she threw it on purpose. Oh yeah. But anyway, J.K. Rowling has been giving her a what for again on social media and has
She called
demanded.
her a cheat. Do you know
Yeah.
what's cheating, Joanne? Do you know what's cheating? Reading someone else's books and then rewriting them from the point of view of a boy instead of a girl going to a school for wizards and
Oh,
witches. Because there was
can
a
I?
series called The Worst Witch, which
Yeah.
came out a long time before Harry Potter, which bears a lot of
Yeah.
startling similarities.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Can I just say, I just watched, I know I posted this yesterday, Stuart Lee's new comedy.
Yes, we
Stuart
love Stuart
Lee
Lee on this
is
channel.
just, can we get him on? He
Yeah.
is just so funny. And his comedy's unusual for those who don't know him. He does it in a kind of, but I really like, he's a big trans ally, but he wasn't fully on your face but he did do a great bit about, he did a bit about J.K. Rowling saying, so she writes books about crime as a man. She identifies as a man when she writes books. It's not going where it's not going where you think this is going. Oh no. I'm just saying, no. I'm not mentioning the trans stuff because Mum's net will go nuts on me again. I'm not
Yeah.
having that.
Yeah.
And it was really funny. It's just have you seen it yet, Graham?
No, I think
God.
I've seen maybe I have seen because it's
Yeah.
ringing a bell.
Yeah.
But I
It's his new show.
the
Yeah.
fact that she identifies as a man to write books to
Yeah.
appeal to people, I just like
Yeah.
what. And then we could ask the question, what is wrong with her? And at the moment, it seems like everything. It's really sad that these
Yeah.
people who I used to have so much respect for have just
Yeah.
gone this way in later
Yeah.
life. And
Well, there's
just
also she was also I think she was demanding the tests of Aman Khalif again. That's when she came back. She was pushing back on prove it. It was that just because you put makeup on and look pretty, it doesn't make you a woman and all
demanding
that stuff.
tests.
So that I just thought that with that court case that
Asking for
from France,
DNA, I want to see
that's
it.
it.
But what's the difference between that and like someone asking for Barack Obama's birth certificate because they
Yeah.
don't believe he's really American because he's
Yeah.
black, And it's like, yeah, I don't believe you're really a woman. I want to see the DNA. This is the richest author in the world
Yeah.
demanding to see another
Yeah.
woman's DNA test
Yeah,
to prove who
Didn't
she
Labour
is.
meet her? That was the whole thing a few months ago, wasn't it? Right?
I didn't know if they actually met her. I think that they said that they would
would.
be receptive to meeting her.
Receptive. Nice. So that was, a little bit. Interestingly, there's a new. I think there's another Harry Pottery gamey thing out, and it's got pronouns in it and stuff. And a lot of people are like, "Hey, look, this is quite inclusive." And that now that the whole sort of online community is like, "Well, I can't stand Harry Potter because of what she's done to LGBT people, but she's got there's pronouns in the game, which is really, really good. But oh God, now have I gone, I can't watch any Harry Potter because I used to separate the artist from the art, the art from the artist. Now I can't do that at all. I can't be around any of the content. And I think for this game, it feels like a lot of people online are saying in the Substacks and stuff, well, it's gone a bit too far, even though they've got pronouns in the game. I don't know. It's just, what it is. Yeah. But it's, I think it's with the court case coming out of France. And as I said, French law is pretty hard. It's raised.
Well, it's just arrested the guy, the founder of Telegram. So awesome. We need to crack on. We were going to talk a little bit about Elon Musk, but I think we covered that already.
We did Brazil, blah blah blah. Should we do Trump and Mums for Liberty?
Okay, so this is the moms for liberty, who are these disgraceful transphobes. So go on, tell us more about it.
Well, Mums for Liberty are, they critical. They want critical race theory taught in schools. They don't like
no pearl shall be left unclutched.
Kids
are being poisoned.
Well, but what Mums for Liberty do is they get themselves onto school governorships because most people don't really run for that kind of stuff, but they've got themselves on, and then they start banning LGBT books. And I was looking at Gina Dawson's book. A lot of her books are being banned in America now. And
did you see that Margaret Atwood had a fireproof copy of Handmaid's Tale made?
Excellent.
There's this wonderful picture, because don't forget, she's in her 80s and she's got a flamethrower and she's trying to burn her book with a flamethrower. And like, that's the coolest picture
What
ever.
A great idea.
Margaret Atwood, completely kick-ass. But,
what a great idea.
Alec Barrett has just dropped £2 in. Thank you very much for that, my friend. Electoral reform would fix some of those issues. I'm sure they would. I think that's a discussion for another day, though, because we need to clack on. So tell us more about Mums for Liberty. What are they?
So Mums for Liberty, they get themselves onto governors into schools and stuff, and then they vote. Now there's. I think I saw something today. So they had 113,000 members US wide. So they're not big, but they are well financed, and they rock up to you see loads of videos on YouTube of them. At school governor meetings, and what you do see is a lot of parents standing up to them. And then there's been a big pushback, and you're getting more and more, aware parents. And I always say, what you're seeing is them. I don't think they're getting the ground that they are now, because I think people are more aware of what they're doing in some of the states. Trump was on stage with them earlier this week, and he was saying and being interviewed. So Trump being there just kind of shows you where they are politically. And he was kind of like, the kids are being poisoned, and he said, the schools are too quick to allow the kids to transition. Really, they're not. And then the last one, this is the one. The transgender thing is incredible. Think about it. The kid goes to school, and a few days later, they come home with an operation. Really? Because teachers can't afford pencils, right? But they're paying for gender reassignment surgery.
Who are claiming that children think they're cats, and they have to have litter trays in the school because the kids think they're cats. And this was a lie that was repeated without thinking by a lot.
Even in the UK, that got repeated on TV News. And the fact is that actually some of the rumours I'd heard about that, so there are sometimes litter trays in schools, is what I heard, but that is because of shooters, right? So the kids get locked into a classroom for 6 hours. Where do they go to the loo? So that's why there may be trays in schools, but not to do with furries and people dressing up as cats.
If they want to stop having litter trays in school, maybe they should, ban handguns and assault weapons.
That would be good.
Ian Cullen in the chat there. Thank you so much for the £5 super chat. That's very kind of you. Thank you. A mate of mine is trans, and I have to say he isn't too enthused about Labour at the present. And to be honest, I don't blame him. I completely get this. At the danger of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, we are in a golden opportunity right now to actually talk to our representatives, our MPs in Labour, and say this is how we feel about this stuff. And we that's what we should do. Everyone watching this should, after this video, go and write a letter to your MP.
So, I'm coming on to that. Oh, just circumventing my notes.
Sorry. Do you know what? I didn't even jump ahead.
I write a script. I send you the script.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't mean
actions. It's under actions. I only just saw that. Do you know what? I had skipped to the pudding.
No, pudding is coming, which I nicked from the trawl. I like the word pudding.
Are we going to talk about the anti-trans teacher in
we're going to. But can I just finish off that if you are in the UK and you have relationships with schools, you should become a governor, or you should have, or a parent teacher, or whatever that is. Get involved in your schools, because the book bans are starting here. The Mums for Liberty type thing is, there have been a few LGBT books quietly leaving school shelves and UK libraries. So this is the time. Head this off at the pass. If you've got relationship, you've got kids at schools, get involved now, because this stuff is creeping over here. So anyway, Trump's basically, from the Mums for Liberty, kids are coming home after having gender reassignment surgery, which is a bit like having abortions at 9 months. Not happening. Kids are not being born and then being aborted. That doesn't happen. And it's the same with this. Kids aren't coming home having gender reassignment surgery. But this is the crap he comes out with that media don't push back on in the America anymore. So that's
it's like we wouldn't accept that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Not at the moment.
This is the future the Liberals want. And I'm like,
yeah.
No, it's not. You're saying it's happening now, so it's the present, whatever. But we don't want a world in which a kid who feels like they are trans
Yeah.
gets an operation 2 days later. Like, nobody wants that. It's a complete straw man.
Well, in the UK, you don't get surgery till you're an adult, so it's just rubbish. It's just the stuff that the right wing spread. I've heard people on Talk TV saying girls are having their breasts removed and stuff. That does not happen till you're an adult. And even if you wanted to have it when you're 18, you wouldn't get a gender identity clinic appointment between 5 and 10 years. So you're going to be 25, 26 by the time you get there. So it doesn't happen. And that's what really annoys me. Right. Let's talk about Enoch Burke. The Irish teacher who was sacked for not using somebody's pronouns in Ireland was then sent to prison because he kept returning back to the school. He was under a court order.
His name's Enoch Burke.
Enoch Burke.
I mean, Jesus. Okay.
So he served 3 months to filing a court order, and now he's released, and then he's done it again. So he's now back in. He's
not been jailed for being.
No, not anti-trans anymore. They keep banning from the school
for breaking the court order.
Yeah,
that says stay away from the school, you creepy weirdo.
Yeah, so he keeps going back. This guy's obsessed. There's some good videos on it. Pink News has got an article on it, though. The Pink News isn't our happy clappy place at the moment. But there's some videos about him being dragged out of court and getting banged. I mean, this is what happens when your brain rots and you go down the gender critical. You start. I'm not using the pronouns, and then you get the Moonies come along and give you lots of love, and you join, and you're in the echo chamber of anti-trans,
and
you
not using the correct pronouns. That's the gateway drug.
But it's transphobia is the entry. You don't like trans people. You go hard right, then you like Nazis. Yeah. This is the kind of
yes.
It is a gateway. I heard it was a gateway. It's a gateway hate drug. That's what they.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
I like that. 100%. I don't like it happening, but that is
but it's a very good way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely.
Because trans rights hadn't been established. Being horrible to trans people is a foothold. So, anyway.
We got Vendetta in the chat saying, this is scripted. Yes, Vendetta, even the bit where I just read that out because we knew you were going to write that. Little. That's it. That's what happens when you have a live chat with a time traveler.
Yeah, I know. I have to go back 5 minutes so we can get this done in an hour, right? So
it's more of an agenda, than a script. Oh, it's a trans agenda. Look at that. Look at that.
I know.
Rachel, you sent me your agenda before the show, and now,
I did. I sent it from 1776.
You've got an agenda, haven't you? Yeah, no, you just emailed it to me. Yeah, right. But it's an agenda.
Yeah, it does.
And so are we going to skip? Are we going to skip to? Oh yeah,
the actions. There's two little things you could do. The register of MPs interest is out right now, and it's good to go and see if your MP is registered with any iffy groups and then challenge them. That's one thing you could do. Or and if you go to Transactional, an organisation we've had on the intersection, Transactional have gone how to meet your MP and the things you should say to them. Fantastic. So if you've got time, you've got an afternoon, why not go along to your MP and say, I'm an ally to the trans community. I'm a bit worried about what's happening to them.
Yeah.
Takes, it's a couple of hours out of your time. Book the appointment. Transactional have got a great, on their website, how meeting your MP guidance. It's a really good thing to do. Then you can raise other stuff as well, like your boundary and your fence problems and stuff,
Yeah.
Right.
Adjusting your boundaries. Mr. Davina in the chat saying, not very infused with Labour here right now. And I've written to my MP several times, but sadly they are, in inverted commas, gender critical.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ms. Davina. But yeah, I think it's worth hassling them because they have to reply to you. If they are your MP, they have to,
they do, unless you're in Clacton.
Every single day, they might just say, oh God, I will help you out if you stop writing to me.
I think if lots of people wrote to them, said, I'm concerned about trans rights, lots of people did that or went to see them. I think MPs are like, well, I've had 6 people who come in to talk to me about trans rights. Maybe this is a thing.
Yeah. And put them straight.
Yeah.
And put them straight on a few things that might be messed up in their head. They might honestly believe that a kid turns up in school on Monday and says, I think I might be trans. And then on Thursday, they're having an operation. Like, they might really believe that's true. I know that sounds so ridiculous to us.
Yeah.
But they might not know. You don't have an IQ test to become a teacher.
Yeah.
Sorry, not a teacher. You don't have an IQ test to be an MP. Sorry to all the teachers out there who I have just offended.
I think teachers are pretty good. I mean, I know a lot of teachers and they are really, they just deal with this stuff. I mean, and they've always just dealt with it. They want guidance. They've always asked for proper guidance. but they generally, the common sense is and kindness is the way. And
We
talking
need
to the
we
parents.
need a trans MP. We need someone to be
We do.
standing. Well, more than one person to be standing for Labour.
But they let MPs stand in hope. They do. They loads of trans people have stood as MPs, but the parties give us the hopeless seats
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
they don't see us as real people. They don't see us as important people. So we don't get that. We don't get the good juicy seats that we could win.
That's really shit. Well, I mean, our friend Tom Gray from Gomez, he actually was the candidate for Brighton Pavilion, I think, and he got placed above Susie Eddie Izzard, and for that, but he lost anyway. He lost the Greens, so he didn't get the seat in the end. But maybe they should have gone with.
Did he go back to the Muppets?
Susan.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, hey,
That's my little joke about Gonzo. Oh, never mind.
Gomez.
I see
So
you
many
could.
times.
That was the thing. I said, Gomez, was he in the Muppets? And I thought that was really funny.
No, the Addams
and you
Family.
went, that was Gonzo.
They're both from outer space, I like to think.
Absolutely.
Or Mexico. So should we
pudding.
have should we eat our pudding?
Yeah,
Should we have
pudding.
our pudding now? Have we done the meat? We can have our
Yeah,
pudding.
we've done the meat. So the pudding comes from because the Trawl, which is my favorite, one of my favorite podcasts.
We love the
They use pudding to just sweeten up all the content about how crap Labour are and all the rest of it. But so three things. One, Coldplay. Oh yeah, Graham. Coldplay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, concert.
My favorite.
There was a trans guy in the audience, said, trans person, ally, and blah blah blah, and he brought him up and put him on stage, and let him take part in one of the songs. Sat next to him.
Oh.
So that was nice.
That's
Good
nice.
allyship.
That's nice.
Liking a bit.
Yeah. Well done, Chris Martin.
Yeah.
I'll let you off. I was talking to a friend of mine who's in a popular beat combo, and I said I kind of hate Coldplay, and he was like, "Oh, I'm actually really good mates with Chris Martin."
Yeah.
And he's a really
Well, it was
lovely
Chris that
guy.
did
And I
it.
was like, "Okay, I'll just change the subject quickly now."
Yeah.
I said,
So
"Did you
I
meet
was.
Gwyneth?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, she's a bit weird."
We need a bit of that. We like the David Tennant, and I'm coming on to. So my second bit of good news is obviously Kemi Badenoch taking on a Time Lord.
Yes.
For me, this is good news, right? Because David Tennant, massively popular, Gen Z, millennial, probably young Gen X. Love David Tennant. He's been in Marvel. He's been. I mean, you're just a crappy quality minister.
He was in Harry Potter.
Yeah, but he's really popular. He really is popular. Just citing a Time Lord, not the greatest move. I just think that's another big mistake. So I don't know. That may cheer me up a bit, really.
And also Russell T Davis. Someone said this in the chat. Russell T Davis is a big trans ally as well.
Yeah, he is.
Made I mean, the fact that one of the characters in the Christmas special was trans was integral to the plot of that episode.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the Christmas specials; it was the three spin-offs that they did with
he lots of representation in Doctor Who, and that's been great. And I think
spin-off. What am I talking about? When they brought back the 9th Doctor.
Yeah.
The 10th Doctor. Oh my God, this is what happens when you have so many. The 11th really, because there was the War Doctor as well. But look, the point being,
you count Paul McGann and William Hartnell. Not William Hartnell.
Paul McGann, definitely, he's a Scouser. Him and Tom Baker are
Peter
Scouse
Cushing.
who's...
You count Peter Cushing in your count.
Ooh, that's a good question. From Daleks Invasion Earth 2051.
He did two, didn't he? Yeah, that's right.
Or was it 2150? Yeah, well, we should, shouldn't we?
We should.
I think we should. But they don't.
No,
I think
don't.
they should.
They should. It's a bit like, is David Niven James Bond as well?
But I don't think they should bring him back using CGI like they did on Rogue One. I didn't like that.
No. Well, also, and sidebar is David Niven a James Bond as well, because he was in Casino Royale comedy version. See,
was Bob Honus a James Bond because he did it? He was the first person to play James Bond on a South African radio dramatization.
Oh wow!
Of Casino Royale or something. Bob Honus from Blockbusters, first James Bond.
Okay, socialites, this bit wasn't scripted. So Coldplay, Kemi Badenoch, and the good news from the US, Sarah McBride, first trans woman running for Congress in Delaware, and could be all right, could be good. And Kamala really likes her, so that would be mega.
That would be good. Mega, not MAGA. That's what I say.
Mega, not MAGA. Yeah, absolutely. So that's pudding. I think that's all good news there, and I
That
still think the kids are protesting. That organization I mentioned is really good. So, and I saw Benjamin your comment in the Discord. See, I'm down with the kids in the Discord. As mentioned that Jamie Dodger is on the book tour, and I'm recommending that to my clients. Jamie's book, which is out at the moment, the T in the LGBT. So, thank you for Benjamin for pointing that out. That Jamie may not have responded because he's touring. So I will drop another note again. Be good to get them on.
It would be fantastic to get them on. But I think that having these shows where we can talk about this stuff in a safe environment, where we don't get attacked from all sides by lunatics, is quite nice. So again, I really want to thank the people watching this and everyone commenting and leaving nice comments. I've not had to kick anyone.
And thank you. I really appreciate all the positive. I can't see the comments, but I know you're all there. Thank you for all your allyship. I couldn't do it otherwise. Things will get better. They will. Gen Z's coming. It will. We just got to hold the line, as they say.
And before we go, Alan Jackson has solved that problem for you about Peter Cushing. Yes, he is an official doctor. He is a future doctor. So he's like the 27th.
I shall pop back to probably 1970 and have a word with him down.
Yeah. Brilliant. All right. Rachel, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And
thank you.
Uncle Phil will be back in the morning and at 9:30 for Morning Brew. Until then, I'll just say thank you to everyone again in the audience. Thanks for the super chats. Give us a like on the way out so we can continue making more of this and get pulled in by the algorithms. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.